Watch out for the November 20th new moon. It's highly charged and volatile, but also provides a spiritual gateway that could change everything. So here's a psychic forecast for one of the most powerful new moons of the year, including a huge government shakeup about to happen and renewed solar storming and solar activity. Understanding these energies is your key to spiritual ascension at this time. So let's dive on in. Hi, Adam of the Medium channel here, and the solar flares are done. Everything can get back to normal, right? No, not so fast. The second phase of the solar storm is yet to happen, and that's when all this energy that was transmitted from the sun through the flares, the coronal mass ejections and such, starts to get absorbed into the earth fields and affects the earth, the geology, the atmosphere, as well as collective consciousness. So we're going to talk about the effects of that. Plus, with this new moon coming up, that's going to further energize the system, further energize the earth, the conscious fields, and further energize the sun that could lead to new solar activities. And we just dodged a major bullet. Most people don't realize like how close we came to a major global catastrophe. If things just lined up just a hair differently, I might not even be talking to you right now. That's how serious this event was. And as it was, we had a few scattered grid outages, communication issues, but nothing that substantial. And I did a whole post that you can check out on why we dodged a bullet and what that means. You just have to go to the community tab and find that post. But anyway, we're going to see some really juicy stuff around world politics, U.S. politics. I had a vision of Donald Trump that's going to affect, that could affect the U.S. government and world politics. And I'm filming this on November 14th, so this will either be out on Saturday or Sunday, depending on other factors. But let me check in my notes. So first, what I want to do is set the table, talk briefly about the planetary alignment, the astrology that's going on, so you get a picture of what's going on. That's setting the table, I guess. Then talk about things going on that are likely to happen on the earth and the geology, the weather, move into geopolitics, U.S. politics and stuff like that, and then finish up with giving you some good sound spiritual advice to take advantage of these energies, because it's not doom and gloom, it's opportunity. But the way our society's set up, we're on a very precarious grid here, with the satellites are very vulnerable to solar activity. So is the electrical grid. So the events itself are actually adding light and higher frequencies to the Earth system and collective consciousness, but there's the other side that it could disrupt things also. The stuff lining up in Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Mercury. Scorpio is transmutation. It's about secrets that get revealed. And you have Uranus with its explosive revolutionary energy bombarding this aspect energetically. And that's going to cause a lot of stuff to rise to the surface, a lot of stuff that's been hidden. And it's going to feed the collective consciousness, and a lot is going to get revealed. From this point of this new moon over the next 40 days or so, expect a lot of action in world politics, world government. But I want to dive into the effects that this is likely to have on the Earth, basically, and as well as geopolitics. We'll move on to that. So the main sunspot group has rotated out that caused all these X-class flares. We dodged such a bullet, as I alluded to earlier. We also have, I should mention, that we have 3I Atlas and 3 solar system comets in the inner solar system. And 3I Atlas and these comets carry comas or fields around them that are largely plasma and dust and a few other things that have an electrical signature that also affects the sun. And as more and more research is being done, it's shown that when there's more cometary activity around the sun, the solar flares and the activity gets stronger. And 3I Atlas is a big unknown, but some stuff is starting to get revealed. and on more of a scientific level, the effects that it's having on the sun and helping to create and release, will create these sunspots and release these coronal mass ejections, these flares and everything. So anyway, main sunspots group as orbited out, right? And things right now are a little bit calmer with the sun. There's a coronal hole impact coming and a weak CME, but it's more or less calmed down. But then the new moon is just going to add more spice. And like I said earlier, a lot of the energy gets absorbed into the earth and the atmosphere, and then the change and in consciousness, and the changes will start to manifest. And this new moon, which is very powerful and energetic this month, will catalyze that. So anyway. So as we approach the 20th, that's the important day, that's the new moon. And then a few days after, I do believe new active regions are going to form on the sun because of the planetary alignment, because of the comets and everything. So we make a new sunspots. There could be another spike in solar flare activity, probably more likely just after the new moon. And then the following week, when the active region rotates back into Earth view, I think it's going to remain intact through its whole passage through the far side of the sun, basically. So between the heightened energy in place, the new moon alignment, and planet of sudden release in the Earth sign of Taurus, so taking all that transformative, well, this is more Uranus, all that sudden release, all of that energy and power of transformation into the earth, it's probably going to touch off some geological events. So watch out for that. Starting around the 20th and through the rest of the year even, this is the catalyst. I think some events could happen right around the new moon or very soon after, within even 72 hours possibly. Earthquakes, watch Japan, because there is an active earthquake swarm going on now, right where the infamous 2011, the March 2011 mega tsunami happened, right in that same area. So the Ring of Fire is very active. Changes in Hawaii, in the volcanism in Hawaii. We could see also earthquakes in other areas. I'm not going to outline everything because the video is going to wind up being too long. But I'd say the U.S. has to be aware that this energy could help to trigger some fault lines. And with this extra energy injected into the earth, anything that's close to either erupting as a volcano or slipping as an earthquake, that extra energy could catalyze that. And California just needs to be aware. I've had a few visions about that. Less likely, but still relevant, off the Oregon coast around the Cascadia subduction zone, the New Madrid fault, which feels pretty stable right now, but keep an eye on all that. Other areas around the world. So I think we get the idea. And but California is an area definitely to watch and keep an eye on. And also, just for the record, Yellowstone's fine. Nothing major is going to happen in a good while, but there could be some minor eruptive activity there, some minor increases. Same thing with Campi Flegrei, which is a little bit closer to possible eruption. So we could see that there, but not like the super volcano that's going to create a volcanic winter and basically end or transform life as we know it. So there's not enough warning signs from what I know about geology. I am a meteorology major, and I know a lot about geology, and I'm learning a lot about space weather. So I'm applying this to my psychic forecast, and I've always done that as a scientist and a medium, because I know that when you combine science and intuition, it's better than either one of them alone. And that's why we've been, with some exceptions, but we've been quite accurate with our predictions around here. So anyway, U.S. West Coast. Also watch the mountains in the Northwest. That'll be Oregon, Washington, in that area. Something funny's energetically is going on in that area. I wouldn't be surprised in the next several months we start to hear of some activity that could lead to a volcano. So again, just keep an eye on it. More energy in the system, more releases, more potential for these activities to come up. And what else? So moving right along. All right, so we get the idea of that. And I want to jump into, I've had a couple of feelings or visions of Donald Trump. the main one, I've seen him talking, then holding his chest, and then slumping over, and then people were going around, then he waved his arms saying, I'm okay, and continued. Now we know there's been a lot coming up around his health. In fact, here on the channel, before anything came up on his health, other than the fact that he's 79 and not in good shape, obviously. So other than the obvious, there's been predictions leading up to when other predictions came up and when more news about his health came up. This is going back to 2024, actually. But anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. So there's that. And I also got an image of a potential assassination attempt, but I also got an image of the potential assassin being thwarted before anything can happen. Let's hope that that's, or better yet, let's hope that none of that verifies. Sometimes things verify, you don't see it in the news, so it appears that myself or other psychics are wrong, but sometimes it's just not reported, to be clear about that. But moving right along with that, I think he's going to get by, but we told you in the beginning of November this was going to be an especially rough month for Donald Trump, and that is verifying. There's a lot of pressures, a lot of things that are coming up, new pressures coming up. The Epstein list, don't count on it, not because Donald Trump's on it. I mean, he very well may be. I personally don't have enough information to let you guys know one way or another. I suspect that he's implicated, but the point being is that high-ranking officials on both party lines are likely implicated in that. Therefore, the whole protocol of releasing the Epstein files, which is ridiculous, by the way, but it is what it is likely to get a lot of resistance. So I wouldn't count on that happening anytime soon. I hope I'm wrong. I hope those that are guilty get put to justice. But I also get the image of a fall guy, and it may be around the Epstein files or other corruption, because its energy with the new moon is going to catalyze more corruption, more damning evidence of very high-level corruption being exposed to the surface. So somebody's going to take the blame. It may be for the Epstein files or other things. And also, I think as supposed information comes out about that, what we see is lesser impactful figures getting accused and then taking the fall also, to protect the ones that are at the top of the food chain. So big questions around that. Revolutionary activities increase. This energy catalyzes it. Bigger protests, bigger resistances, and met possibly with violence. Civil activity. Some people may start to call it a civil war developing in the United States and other countries. More demonstrations opposing world leaders, so it's not just in the U.S. As the energy of Uranus and the new moon, etc., intensifies the conscious field, people get more aware and they awaken. But at the same time, there's more pressures against them to try to basically shut up, for lack of a better word. And I think by the first quarter of 2026, 4 separate world leaders that are prominent are going to step down. Donald Trump may be one of them. I explained when and why that could happen in the November psychic forecast, why something may happen with him in February. It may be a little bit later. Timelines are fluid. We don't know, but I picked up on February, just to cut to the chase, as a possible exit point. A lot of scandals getting exposed. Again, it's not written in stone. Timelines can change. If you support the president and what's going on in the country, you're not to worry, because we don't know. I'll just put this, it's just psychic impressions. It's not anything political or my own personal biases, to be clear about that. But I do think that world leaders are going to step down. I'll have more details and more predictions when I do the December psychic forecast. I'm just kind of touching on main points right now, and we'll get into more details a little bit later. But also a stir over Mamdani's election or victory as mayor of New York. It's going to be sparking more demonstrations, more threats, and stuff of that nature. It's very revolutionary. A lot's getting exposed. Deep corruption rising from the surface in a lot of sectors in politics and other areas. I do get the sense of a top advisor stepping down. On that note, I do feel like like the U.S. government undergoes further destabilization when there's a lot of accusations, more leaders, Trump appointees stepping down or being implicated in different corruptions or whatever, not just Republicans. It's going to affect the Democratic Party too. But these are just how the energy, everything's falling. The old tower's falling that's built on that foundation of greed, corruption, and power over others. It has to fall. We're in a cosmic storm. And storms, storms aren't about doom and gloom. Whether they do, they clear things. They clear old growth so that new, stronger growth can grow in its place. And that's exactly what's happening in the conscious fields, in the energetic fields, and how that's playing out in the world stage and in politics. So a lot's getting exposed. A lot of people are going to fall, but then people are going to demand better from our governments. They're going to demand that they have their rights back, that they don't get taken away. And a lot's getting exposed about how AI is being used for surveillance and to control the masses. But a lot of pushback, a lot of revolutionary activity. Again, I'll have more details in a future video coming soon. But back to Mamdani, I think a top advisor steps down. There could be some funny assassination attempt, but I don't think that's going to go so far. But I see a lot of terrorist threats increasing around the U.S. And specifically the UN in Manhattan, as well as Gracie Mansion, where the New York City mayor stayed while they were in office. That's positive, but so a lot of stress, a lot of concerns around socialist ideals and all of that, and that we have in New York City a mayor who's a Islamic and also raised Hindu, not Caucasian, has socialist ideas. It creates a lot of stir, a lot of pushback. But the positive side of this is I feel like it's going to open up for more politicians that may not be like the majorities, so to speak, giving them a chance and giving them a greater voice and a greater chance to win their own election. But what happens in New York is going to spill into other cities around the nation and possibly around the world. So, things can get dicey before they get better. But again, the old has to fall for the new to rise up. So try to hang in there. We're going to be okay. So what else did we write? Scandals surface around the mayor race. Okay, so there may be some scandals like accusations of voter manipulation. Same old, but that hits New York City now also. And all right, very good. So the New York City election sets the precedent for the rest of the country, changing local and national politics. So I also had a vision of ICE on the Hollywood sign, and that could just be symbolic of more ICE attacks. I think there's going to be more like with the military, even though it's been deemed unconstitutional for the government to send military forces to different cities, but I think it's still going to happen, or National Guard. So that could be a metaphor for ICE agents and more problems with that, or it could literally be a freeze, and a very unusual freeze in that part of the country. I think LA is a hotbed for activity, and I have that in my notes somewhere. So let me see if I can scroll down a little bit. Also, that may that area may endure big mudslides and the occasional monster storms I've seen in that area this rainy season. But I think when you average it out, it's actually going to be a dry, rainy season in Southern California. But I am seeing bad mudslides, as well as the threat for earthquakes, fire, and a lot of focus of energy and change in LA that could expose major corruption around Hollywood, the entertainment field in general, and such. So let me dive into a spiritual note now and what we can do to be empowered so we don't get harmed by any of the activity, whether it's from solar flares or politics or just the forced division that's causing everybody to literally go crazy and turn against each other. You want to be in your heart and be in your power, be grounded, be strong in your frame, first and foremost. So develop your meditation practice further. If you've been on this channel for a while, we've been saying this, and those that have been following the advice and doing the work that we recommend are faring a lot better during these epic earth changes than those that aren't, but it's not too late to start. And by the way, on that note, please, if you're enjoying this, like the video, share, comment, and if you want to see more of these videos, come up on your own home feed, subscribe to the Medium channel. So, so basically, flare solar activity helps to clear the fields, helps us to unblock. It injects higher energies and frequencies for awakening to help us to reconnect with our own divinity, which the powers that be that want to control humanity through programming, social conditioning, and such sever our connection with our own divinity, and then we're powerless and we're easy to control. So I think this energy is starting to clear those blocks, starting to unveil things, and we start to connect more naturally with our higher selves, great spirit, source, or God, whatever your belief is. And the shadows of the programming really, really get exposed during this time. And this is a big cleansing. These solar flares and the astrology and planetary geometry around this powerful new moon, it's all energizing the system and purging and clearing things from our collective field. So if we do our own shadow integration work, well, the universe is supporting that. So this is the time to do that. And I have a whole playlist on how to do this. And this is going to open up a lot of spiritual insights and help to reveal our life mission. So get into more meditation. It may get uncomfortable as you're doing that, so learn to breathe through that. Lots of breathing exercises, grounding, centering, getting out into nature, spiritual exercises like yoga, qigong, tai chi. These things are really going to help you through this cosmic storm and help you to come to your higher self, help you with your spiritual awakening and your spiritual unfoldment and opening. And then you'll understand more of why you're here, what your life purpose is, and you may wind up becoming a teacher, a healer, a psychic, mystic, or in some other way helping with humanity to upgrade and the rebuilding of our society. So anyway, so that's what I have for you. And, again, we're in this period of intense solar flares. It has its destructive side based on how the grids are constructed, but it has a very spiritual, beneficial side. So I dive more into why that is and what you can do to work with the solar activity for your own spiritual upgrades over here. And I'll post a little bit more about Mamdani and the New York City mayoral race and election and why that's important in what's going on in the USA and the world. So thank you. I love you. Hopefully you found that helpful. See you.